السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Dear brothers and sisters, the book that I wanted to talk about today in this series called 30 Books in 30 Days, I think especially the young people here are going to be very excited about this book because it's called Handbook of a Healthy Muslim Marriage. Handbook of a Healthy Muslim Marriage. Say Inshallah. Unlocking the Secrets to Ultimate Bliss. Unlocking the Secrets to Ultimate Bliss. Written by Mufti Rahman ibn Yusuf Mangera. This is a fairly new book. It was published in 2019. And even though I jokingly, made a remark about the youth, this book is not just for people who are looking to get married. This book talks about how to get married and how to stay married. So it's both. It's for both people who are young, who are looking to get married, or parents who are trying to get their kids married. And it's also for people who are already married. I'm going to, first of all, the author, Rahman ibn Yusuf Mangera, he's well known. Some of you might be familiar with him. He is a scholar from the UK. I think he was included in the 500 most influential Muslims in the world in 2020 or something like that. He has written a number of works, and this is his most recent and perhaps the most celebrated book. I'm just going to read some of the testimonials from the back of the book. So this one is from Mufti Mank. Everybody knows, many people know Mufti Mank. He said, Alhamdulillah, a very well thought out and well written book, clear, to the point, and beneficial. Then there's a testimonial here from Prince Ghazi bin Muhammad from Jordan. He said, this book is contemporary Islamic self-help at its finest. It is unique in that it combines an enlightened but orthodox Islamic perspective with the author's years of pastoral experience dealing with marriage issues among Muslims in the West. So this is right on the money, actually, because that's what's one of the unique things about this book, that the author is not only a Muslim scholar, he's a mufti, traditionally trained, graduate of Darul Uloom, Dars-e-Nizami, and so on, and then went on to get his master's and PhD. But he has also been doing family counseling for years, and also has some expertise and qualifications in that. And so he brings those two things together and writes this book, Yarhamukallah. Then it says, every young Muslim who is newly married or wishes to get married should read it. It might save them from making terrible mistakes they will later regret. Again, very, very true statement. I fully agree with this. I know of no better book for this. I know of no better book for this. It is also well written and easily digestible. May God reward Mufti Mangera for writing it and making his tremendous experience and wisdom available for a paltry price. Then there is a testimonial here from Dr. Tamra Gray, Anissa Tamra Gray. She's also known as Anissa Tamra Gray. She's the director of Rabta organization, of educational organization. She writes, Handbook of a Healthy Muslim Marriage by Mufti Rahman Mangera will be the first book that I give my son as he begins to contemplate the life stage of marriage and family. This book encourages the reader to grow his mindset from thinking solely about the legalities of marriage to contemplating its realities, with sweet tips about romance and just plain old goodness. Then there's a testimonial here from Ustada Zainab Ansari, also very popular name in the United States among the female scholars that often speak at conferences and so on. She's an instructor at Taysir Seminary. She writes, with a wealth of experience and a warm, sympathetic tone, Sheikh Abdul Rahman brings the insight of a scholar with thousands of hours of spiritual and marital counseling practice and Islamic erudition to his subject. And finally, a testimonial from Mufti Muhammad bin Adam al-Kawthari, also a very famous name, Mufti Muhammad bin Adam al-Kawthari of Darul Ifta, UK. He writes, Handbook of a Healthy Muslim Marriage is basically just that, a book and a guide that every Muslim couple should keep as a handy resource throughout their journey of marriage. Examples quoted from real-life scenarios and experiences really make the book personal and relatable. I'm just going to read you the table of contents, and we'll call it a day because I know many people here are very exhausted from last night. May Allah accept from all of us. So the book has, 10 chapters. Okay, the first chapter is on marriage and family life in Islam. It discusses things like the purpose of marriage and marriage in our times. The second chapter is called Preparing for Marriage. It has practical steps to prepare for marriage. Talks about when to get married, what should be our intentions for getting married. Chapter number 3 is what to look for in a spouse. What to look for in a spouse. It's a 20-page long chapter. Chapter number 4, how to find a spouse. Okay, so it has a number of sections. Talks about identifying a potential spouse, involvement of parents. How important is it? When is the right time to get them involved? What is love? What is falling in love? Taking things forward. The background check. Okay. The istikhara prayer. I memorized the istikhara prayer when I was about to get married. That's usually when most people memorize the prayer because they say it so many times. The istikhara prayer. The family meeting. Discussion with the prospective spouse. Okay. Then chapter number 5 is the marriage contract and wedding ceremonies. It talks about engagements, talks about nikah, the sunnah way. It talks about the mahar, talks about the jahiz, talks about the walima and wedding parties, talks about taking the husband's surname. A lot of people have questions about that. Chapter number 6 is on building a successful relationship. And it has a very, very good section on advice for husbands, and then another equally good section on advice for wives. I have read this very, very carefully highlighted, underlined. It's very, very well done. Advice for husbands and advice for wives. And then number 7, there are some very young people here maybe, so it's about intimate relationship between the husbands and wives. So it talks about the do's and don'ts, the fiqh, and also some practical issues related to that. Chapter number 8, the wider family unit, so children and in-laws. Okay. Number 9, when things start going south. So dealing with marital problems. What are some sections in here? Communication problems, money problems, problems in intimacy, flirtation, infidelity, promiscuity. He talks also about polygamy, talks about infertility, talks about domestic violence, and how to overcome some of these marital problems. This is a very long chapter in this book. It's 35 pages long. The total, the book as a whole is about 260 pages. Okay, so it's not a very big book, but it's not a small book either. And then chapter number 10 is on divorce. Okay, so it talks about the social stigma of divorce, talks about the painful reality of divorce, talks about avoiding divorce, but then it talks about the basic fiqh of divorce, the basic fiqh of divorce. And it talks about the issue of 3 equals 1, like 3 divorces in one setting, and other similar issues that a lot of people often have questions about. The khula, what is a khula? Then the iddah, the waiting period after the divorce, and then it also talks about custody issues, child custody from the perspective of Islam. So these are the contents of the book. I highly, highly recommend this book for every Muslim home, because as Mufti Muhammad ibn Adam said, this is a handbook that should be there whether you are contemplating marriage in the future, near future, far future, or you're already married and looking for helpful tips on how to improve your marital relationship. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us always increase in beneficial knowledge. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Everybody's welcome to come and take a look at the book and take pictures. And I expect a lot of the young people to come and do that. Inshallah, nobody will judge you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.